In the hushed corridors of Buckingham Palace and the manicured lawns of Windsor, a deeply personal crisis is unfolding that threatens to fracture one of the most scrutinized families in the world. At its center are Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, the two daughters of Prince Andrew, Duke of York, and Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York. Once seen as peripheral figures in the modern monarchy, the sisters now find themselves confronting what palace insiders are describing as an excruciating and unprecedented dilemma, a choice between preserving their place within the royal institution and maintaining an unbroken bond with their controversial mother. The roots of this crisis stretch back to the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, a scandal that has already cost Prince Andrew his public role, his military titles, and much of his reputation. What began as a catastrophe for the Duke has metastasized, ensnaring his former wife and placing their daughters in an impossible position. Recent court documents and released emails from the Epstein files have reignited scrutiny of Sarah Ferguson. Messages reportedly dating from a period when Ferguson had claimed to have cut ties with Epstein allegedly show her describing the disgraced financier in warm, even effusive terms. Charity boards that once welcomed her patronage have quietly distanced themselves. The damage to her public image has been swift and merciless. For Sarah Ferguson, known to the public as Fergie, the consequences extend far beyond headlines. Having lived at Royal Lodge in Windsor Great Park with her ex-husband despite their 1996 divorce, she now faces the prospect of leaving the only stable home she has known in decades. Prince Andrew, under pressure from the king, has reportedly agreed to vacate the 30-room mansion and relocate to a more modest property on the Sandringham estate. That move would leave Ferguson, who has no official royal residence of her own, in a precarious housing situation at the age of 66. From Duchess of York and a fixture at state banquets to a woman without a permanent address or formal role, this is the stark reality she now confronts. Yet the most heartbreaking dimension of this saga involves not titles or residences, but family ties and the next generation. Beatrice and Eugenie have, against considerable odds, retained their royal status, their HRH styles, used privately, and a degree of acceptance within the firm. King Charles III, acutely aware of the need to protect the monarchy's image after the scandals that have rocked his reign, is said to view his nieces as innocent bystanders in their parents' controversies. Sources suggest he is determined to offer them a future within a slimmed-down monarchy, provided they can insulate themselves from further fallout. And that is where the unspoken ultimatum appears to lie. According to reports first published in Women's Day magazine and subsequently echoed by multiple royal correspondents, Beatrice and Eugenie have been forced to contemplate a step that would have been unthinkable only a few years ago, significantly reducing, or even temporarily suspending, their mother's access to her 4 beloved grandchildren. Beatrice's daughter Sienna and stepson Wolfie, along with Eugenie's sons August and Ernest, have grown up with an energetic, affectionate grandmother who reads them stories, organizes treasure hunts, and showers them with the kind of uninhibited love that is sometimes in short supply within royal circles. The bond is profound and reciprocal. Friends of the family describe Ferguson lighting up in the presence of the children, and the youngsters running to Gone Gone Fergie with unself-conscious joy. To contemplate severing or severely curtailing that relationship is, for all involved, agonizing. Yet palace sources suggest the princesses believe they may have no alternative if their mother continues actions or associations that risk dragging the younger generation into fresh controversy. One insider quoted anonymously put it with brutal clarity. If Sarah doesn't start exercising far greater caution, if she doesn't finally draw a firm line under certain past connections, then Beatrice and Eugenie feel they will be left with no choice but to protect their children by limiting contact. They don't want to do it. They will hate doing it. But they see the monarchy's survival and their own children's future place within it as hanging in the balance. This is not presented as petty punishment or daughterly rebellion. Rather, it is framed as institutional self-preservation. King Charles, having witnessed the devastation caused by his brother's entanglement with Epstein, is reportedly adamant that the monarchy he inherited must never again be held hostage by the indiscretions of a single individual, no matter how personally painful the remedy. The message filtering down from the highest levels appears unambiguous. The York branch of the family has exhausted the institution's patience. For decades, Sarah Ferguson has been the dominant parental personality in her daughters' lives. She was the one who navigated them through their own periods of tabloid scrutiny, who encouraged their independence, and who fiercely defended them when critics dismissed them as minor royals. Her daughters, in turn, have been unwaveringly loyal, publicly embracing her at events, promoting her children's books, and refusing to join the chorus of detractors even during Ferguson's most embarrassing moments. That loyalty is now being tested as never before. Beatrice and Eugenie are said to recognize that every fresh headline linking their mother to Epstein-era figures ricochets onto them and, by extension, onto their children. Schoolyard whispers, future Google searches, and the relentless archival memory of the internet mean that today's scandal becomes tomorrow's inherited burden. In an era when the royal family is fighting for relevance and respect, the sisters are acutely aware that association, however unfair, can be corrosive. Some royal watchers interpret the current tension as strategic, a deliberate signal to Ferguson that the stakes have changed now that grandchildren are involved. The mere suggestion that access might be restricted could, in theory, shock her into the kind of self-censorship the palace desires. Others, however, believe the situation is far graver, that King Charles has privately indicated a limit to his forbearance, and that Beatrice and Eugenie understand defiance could cost them the very protection they currently enjoy. The wider family is watching with a mixture of sympathy and exasperation. The Prince and Princess of Wales, focused on projecting stability and modernity, have no desire to see their carefully cultivated image tarnished by association. Queen Camilla, who spent years rehabilitating her own reputation, is said to be quietly supportive of any measures that prevent further reputational hemorrhage. Even the famously dutiful princess is reportedly weary of the Yorks' recurring dramas. Public reaction, when the full contours of this story eventually emerge, is likely to be sharply divided. Some will see the princess's potential actions as a necessary cruelty, the kind of ruthless pragmatism required to safeguard an ancient institution in the 21st century. Others will view it as unforgivable. Two privileged young women prepared to isolate their own mother in order to cling to status and perks they never earned through public service. What cannot be denied is the human tragedy at the heart of the drama. There are no villains here, only varying degrees of fallout from associations made long ago. Sarah Ferguson has never been accused of criminal wrongdoing in connection with Epstein. Her sin appears to be poor judgment and an inability, or unwillingness, to sever every lingering tie. Beatrice and Eugenie, caught between love for their mother and duty to the crown and to their children's future, face a Sophie's choice that most families never encounter. In the coming months, subtle clues may reveal which way the balance is tipping. A conspicuous absence of grandmother and grandchildren photographs on social media, Ferguson spotted less frequently at family events, carefully worded statements from the princesses about spending time apart to reflect. But few challenges have been as intimately painful as the one now confronting two young mothers who never sought the spotlight yet find themselves illuminated by its harshest glare. In the end, this is not merely a story about royalty. It is a story about the price families pay when past mistakes refuse to stay buried, and about the moment when love and duty collide with such force that someone must give.